Hi, everyone. Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Live with Lighthouse, brought to you by Lighthouse Technology Services. So this is our platform to guide business leaders and technology and talent solutions forward, to drive your business forward. So thank you for joining me this morning. I'm Claire Stroh, your host, filling in for Joe Ray, our manager of marketing and experience, who usually hosts this show for us. So super excited to take this on this week. And we had a great chat last week with Kendra Brim on DEI initiatives. So if you missed it, you can head over to our YouTube page and check out that recording as well as all of our previous episodes. And if you're tuning in as well on the replay for today's episode on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining us and catching up. We're so glad you're here. So today I'm super excited to welcome Sarah Miller, project manager for tech talent at M&T. And Sarah's been with M&T for almost 8 years in various roles, and most recently supported M&T's space planning and design team on the Seneca One project since its inception prior. So prior to her current role, worked on that. And then she's also an active volunteer and new designer for Special Spaces Buffalo, creating dream bedroom makeovers for children with pediatric cancer, which is awesome. So I'm going to bring Sarah on.
Hi, Claire.
Hi, Sarah. Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to get into what you do more today. This is going to be so fun.
That'll be great.
Yes, and we already have friends with us in the comments. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. She's looking forward to hearing about this topic. So this is going to be good. So first, I would love for you to just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I myself actually did a little transition. I early on in my career, I spent some time in healthcare. I worked with hospice and in the emergency room. Went to nursing school. Then there was a pivotal moment where I was like, you know what? I think I want to change careers. I was young. About to be married, and I just kind of had to see what kind of a life do I want in my
Wow.
future role. And I think that's what led me to M&T Bank and its structure and impact on the community. So 8 years later, here I am, and I'm able to apply that same passion I have for serving others,
Yeah.
just a new scope. So it led me to my current role as a program advisor for our technology development program. And in this role, I support recent college graduates with primarily like a computer science or engineering background, and
Yeah.
we introduce them to their first career in tech.
That's awesome. And I love seeing you and the participants around Seneca One. It always looks like so much fun. It's so exciting.
Our,
Um, I know, right?
we guys in the thick of it. So this is our grand staircase. I sit in the lower level, but
Yeah. So yeah, Sarah's based here at Seneca One, and the TDPs in the program we're going to talk about get to see that amazing space and work in it. So it's super cool. I think we first met, was it earlier this year at one of the Female
it,
Forward events that
yeah,
M&T hosted? Okay. So since then, in like March, I've just seen you all around Seneca One, and that's how we became like better friends. And now you're here with us. So this building is just made for connection.
it really is.
It's super fun. Okay, awesome. And then I would love for you to share a fun fact with us too before we get started.
Gosh, there's so many of them. But this one in particular, I actually don't share often, but it kind of catches people off guard. I'm actually a second-degree black belt, and I trained in martial arts for about 16 years. So that's my super fun fact. And I even like competed competitively for like a good portion of that time. So
Oh my
that,
gosh.
that's my fun fact.
Yeah. Are people surprised? Because then they're just like, oh my God, Sarah could take me down at any moment.
I mean, my husband just makes sure I walk in front of him in the dark alleys.
I love that. I didn't know that about you. So thank you for sharing that with us. All right, awesome. Let's jump into some of these questions because I know our audience really wants to learn more about the programs that you run at M&T. So let's start with, how did like the current opportunity come about that you're now in with like leading that TDP program?
I actually love telling this story because I think it speaks volumes about our initiative and what we're trying to do for the community. And it all started when the idea of the Tech Hub was just coming into view. I had just started with M&T's space planning design team under corporate real estate. This was back in like 2018. Mike Whistler had just joined us. And I can remember him sharing this idea of creating this technology incubator, creating this space for everyone on Main Street, starting from Seneca One all the way down to Roswell Park.
Yeah.
And just like the impact it would have on the community, bringing in all these startups, emerging talent, all together in one incubator, and just the idea and the concept and the opportunities and the jobs it would bring to the Western New York community. It was a vision that I was like, I need to be a part of this one way or
Yeah.
another. So when I came across this position just about a year ago, um, when I found out that it was to support our technology development program and advise them, I knew that this would be a role that I could thrive in. Because of my passion for serving others and my own career journey. I wanted to be able to share the impacts that I've come across with
Mhm.
them, and kind of share my own growth. And I want to be able to set up that same track for success for our emerging talent.
Yeah, that's so cool. Because like we shared before, you've been in a few different roles with M&T, so I love how, like, this came about, it was a good fit for, like, you and what you love to do, and you've been, like, building it and, working in that ever since. So I love that. I have to bring Candace's comment up here real quick too. She's just clapping. That was such a great story. We love just that overview that you gave with us for that. So let's dive into the programs a little bit more. Okay, so what type of talent development programs does M&T offer? I think there's
Oh,
a
that's
couple,
great,
right?
great question for those of you who are actually not familiar with M&T. So,
Yeah.
M&T, our footprint, we offer a vast array of programs across the footprint, most notably known for our MDP programs, our Management Development Program, our EA program. And these are programs that have been around for years. They're well established, well received, well known throughout the community, and the banking footprint. And over the past several years, they've branched out with other platforms and programs as well. But it's even more exciting because over the last few years, we've been able to offer technology focused programs for emerging talent. So, our technology internship program, we also have a ZDP program, which is a non traditional pipeline for individuals who might be looking to make a switch in their careers and take a new journey into tech with us. And then we also have our technology development program. And our TDP program, which is what we refer to it as, is a 2-year rotational program for recent college graduates, primarily either with a computer science or an engineering background. And they come into the program, and our ultimate goal is to graduate them at the end with either a software engineer 1 or a technical engineer 2 role within our organization.
Okay, that is so cool. So I know that's the one that you primarily lead. I know I get questions with my network about the ZDP as well. Can you just give an overview on, like, what types of backgrounds, or how would someone know if maybe it's a good fit for them to apply to that one?
For the ZDP program,
Yeah.
yeah, so you don't have to have any experience in technology. And I have a team member on my team, Danielle Ballastone, who works heavily with this cohort, and she's the advisor for it. But we partner with Franklin University, and IBM supports us with the Z mainframe for technology for their program. But I believe you can apply through IBM. There's an application process. I think you go through some training. But if anyone has any questions at the end of the call around the ZDP program, they're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to connect them with Daniela.
That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so back to TDPs, your expertise here. So where do you recruit those program participants from?
Yeah, so we actually have a really great team that handles our campus recruitment, and we do targeted universities. However, this year we're really focusing heavily on DEI initiatives, continuing to create space for all people in technology, diversity of color, gender, background.
Mhm.
Some of our main targeted universities are RIT, UDEL, UMD, PSU. But it's exciting to share that we've expanded our relationship with some HBCUs, so Howard University, Morgan State. So we're really excited to build those partnerships with them, And ultimately, our goal is always to obtain and attract the best talent and create the opportunity for success for everyone.
Yeah, I love that there's so many people that have to partake in this being a success. So your awesome campus recruitment team goes to this wide array of schools, talks
Yeah.
to students, yeah, gets them interested, gets them here for the program, right? And then you're kind of working with them while they're after they've been accepted, right? Once they're here. Yeah, it's such an awesome team that's all involved with that. Okay, so when students are considering, getting ready to graduate, if they should be part of this program, what is so cool about it? Like, why should they do it?
Well, I think one thing that kind of sets us apart from other programs, right? They come in as full time employees, but we also acknowledge that there is a heavy transition that is significant from going from full time student to full time employee. For many
Mm,
of these students, this is their first career, their first job. So we want to
yeah.
make sure we set them up for success right off the bat. So we work heavily with our managers, trying to understand what are these tech stacks that they might be going into,
Mhm,
giving them opportunities to kind of dive in and get that hands-on experience and visibility right away. Um, and we also offer opportunities throughout the program for them to develop the necessary soft skills and human skills that they may not necessarily were able to develop in school, right? It's just a
mhm.
totally different atmosphere. So we work on communication, active listening, how to network. What is networking even? Some of them may never have encountered a networking event.
Yeah.
Other things too, right? Like how to communicate with a non-technical person. So these are all things that we're aware of, and we want to be able to set that tone and that track for them. So
Mhm,
we allow them opportunities to engage with the community, network with managers and leaders, and to develop those qualities because they play a significant part in their role, regardless of any job, even tech included. So our goal is to, kind of marry the two together, marry those soft skills along with those technical skills so they
mhm.
become that ultimate software engineer at the end of the program.
Yeah. No, this is so cool. Okay, so then do you mainly have folks join is it like once a year after graduation, or are there multiple kind of groups going through this throughout the year? How does that work?
Yeah. So we have had a couple early start opportunities, but primarily it is one cohort a year.
Okay.
We just welcomed our 2023 cohort this July. We did have a February early start date for some folks, but they kind of blend right in with that July cohort. They'll graduate at the same time. Um, so we just welcomed 74 TDPs this year. So 74 new TDPs. We have a cohort that just rotated into their second year, and then we just graduated a cohort in August.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you keep that all straight? This is
Oh,
maybe a personal question for you, but like, how do you like keep all their schedules going?
yeah. With a lot of team interaction and relying on each other for sure. We
Mhm.
utilizing some applications like Teams and SharePoints and
Yeah.
just overall, but it takes a village for sure. It's not just a one man show. I also have a counterpart, Brianna, who manages some TDPs out in Wilmington. They're still a part of our same cohort, so we have two locations. Buffalo is our primary
Okay.
location, but we do have a group of TDPs out there. So shout out to Wilmington and Brianna. And
Yeah. Okay. And I was wondering too how maybe how you've like iterated a little bit since you've been in the role. Have you noticed some things that like did or didn't work that you then changed before the next group joined? I know we
yeah,
have some people I encourage to tune in that might want to try to develop a similar program, maybe at a smaller scale if they're a smaller organization. But are there any like tips you've learned? Yeah, of like what you had to change over
um,
the time.
ooh, so I think this year was definitely like a learning experience for me, a lot of observation, but there are definitely some key things that I've learned. Um, I think a lot of I think a lot of in-person initiatives tend to excite our cohort a little bit more. They're an active group. They want
Yeah.
the And that's also the intention behind the Tech Hub too, is creating that purposeful, intentional interaction.
Mhm.
So I've noticed that the more I can do with, creating meetings in person, and engaging with them in that sense, it's proven to show a significant difference rather than just virtual meetings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm sure they like to come down to, like, the at Seneca one, there's so many cool spaces and things that we
there,
have here too to host events.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. All right, so going back to sorry, I jumped into
yeah,
that a little bit more because I was so curious. So once someone gets accepted, so your team goes, recruits them, they get their offer for post-graduation. What are some of the first steps that, like, you take to, like, welcome them or onboard them to the program?
sure. So we want to make sure that we are giving them a fantastic experience right off the bat. And for many of our candidates, they have accepted their program months before their actual start date.
Hmm,
So be creative on how we maintain engagement with them. We send them welcome boxes with maybe some M&T Tech swag, maybe a jacket, a bag,
yeah.
um, perhaps a book, just to kind of engage them towards their next step in their career. And then for the cohort, we want to make sure we're keeping up with the engagement. So we host monthly keep warm sessions to kind of, share with them what's going on within the organization, what's going on in the community, things they can look forward to. For many of our candidates, they are not from the Western New York area, never have been to the Western New York area.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, share a little bit about the community, some initiatives that are taking place. What does parking look like? What to expect? What does the building look like? And then once we get through a series of keep warm sessions, up until the point we reach orientation, we actually host a 3-day in-person orientation. And this also includes our Wilmington cohort. We want to make sure that we're inclusive of all of our TDP candidates. So during these 3 days, they get to network with their peers, engage with their managers, meet some TDP alumni. We get them into the thick of it with some like agile training. For some, this might be their first time trying to understand agile.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's a really hands-on orientation experience. And then of course, the HR portion of it and materials. But we do also want to make sure we dive into what does our performance model look like? What are expectations that we have for the program? And we recently started to offer some skills IQ training at the very beginning. And this is a way to kind of help them identify any technical areas that they might need to, that they could upskill in throughout the duration of those 2 years. But really, after those 3 days of orientation, they jump right into their teams and they're off and running.
I love that you incorporate, like, the agile and some of the things about, like, how the environment's gonna work as a whole, so they don't, like, get into it and then realize, like, work's done in a certain way or things like that. I think from my HR perspective, I've seen that a lot in orientations where what are those, like, um, norms that someone who's just coming into the role, brand new out of school or from another organization needs to know about just, like, how does work get done around here? And those can be missed because 'cause they're hard to, like, remember sometimes to include. So,
And I think it also sets the tone for, expectations around interaction with your team, right? Just that natural collaboration that is required.
mhm. Yeah. Okay, good. And I know you guys have a lot of fun because I've seen you pulling carts of supplies and goodies and things like that around Seneca One. So what, like, fun, events or just other things you plan as part of the program as well?
Oh my gosh, yes. Our TDPs definitely have a plethora of engagement opportunities to
Yeah.
have a great. There's so many opportunities for them to engage and lean in. We work with our partners at Tech Buffalo and universities to provide opportunities for our TDPs to lean in and participate in hackathons, build a robot day with the youth. Some even have the opportunities to kind of lead those initiatives, and build on their leadership skills and skills along the way. But also, like within the program this year, we actually held our first ever speed networking event, which we received some pretty great feedback on. And it was an opportunity for our TDPs to meet with various tech managers, kind of learn about, how they got to their role, their journey in tech. And I think too, when you're new to this networking idea, it's easier to have conversation in a controlled environment like that rather than just at like a happy hour and
Mm-hmm.
expected to just walk up to someone and start a conversation. So they seem to enjoy the speed networking event quite a bit. So we're looking to bring that back this fall.
Yeah, that's a really fun idea. I like that. I wanted to know about more of the fun things that you all did because I've seen you around and like preparing for it, but I didn't realize there was that much of the community piece being infused into the fun. So I love that that's being combined. It's not just let's get
Absolutely.
together and have a great time, and now that we're done with work for the day or something like that, but let's help the community with the build a robot. So making some of those, yeah, fun things also part of giving back because I know that's really important to M&T as a whole.
and
So.
and it helps that we're in Seneca One together and we're sharing the space with other partners, right? Like 43 North,
Mhm.
Lighthouse. So it's just a very unique and just
Yeah. Okay, I thought I lost you for a second. Sounds so good. Okay, we're here. Perfect. All right. And what are any like next steps coming up that you want to plug? I know you said folks get their offers like way in advance from when they start. What's like coming up that, any timelines or things like that?
So we're actually opening up our TDP application pool next week. So if anyone out there listening to the call is interested in the program, or if you know anyone who is interested in applying to the technology development program, they can head over to the MNT.com careers page, search the TDP program, and send in the application. We look forward to hearing from you guys. Again, this is for recent college graduates. So if you recently graduated or you'll be graduating in summer of 2024, this is for you.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm so glad you clarified that too. And so I should have asked this earlier. When you said the goals when they finish the program, they go into a software technical engineer role. What are some of the teams that they can work within throughout the program?
Yeah, so we have a variety of teams. We work a lot with our senior leadership team and managers that roll up under them, and we create conversations around, is there a potential space to take on a TDP? Do you have the capacity to take on a TDP? How can this impact?
Yeah.
Right, because it is a responsibility to help develop an employee coming on, and also be okay with that rotational aspect. Right, they're only spending 1 year with each team. The
Yeah.
first team, we actually align them up for their first year with a manager. We do an intake survey. We'll pulse our managers to see who is open to taking on TDPs. We kind of get an idea of what that tech stack looks like, what are some of the languages they're going to be using, what are some projects that are coming up. And then as we also pulse our TDPs as well to identify what is their ideal tech stack. Do they want front end versus back end?
Hmm.
Do they want a full stack? Are they more data aligned? So we pulse both sides, and then we kind of marry them together for the first year. But for
Yeah.
that year, we allow our TDPs to choose the team that they want to work on. So we create events like a discovery day, which it's almost like a career fair setup where
Oh,
managers and teams will, set up a table and showcase their tech team, any projects that they're working on, and our TDPs are able to kind of walk through and kind of gauge, certain areas and
yeah.
to select their teams that way.
I love that idea of an internal career fair. And that's another huge benefit. So I'm glad I asked that question because we talked about all the great benefits of the program earlier, but you really do have a piece of like choice in it too, which is great. Okay. I like that you do incorporate kind of both sides and then make the best matches that you can. Cool. Okay. So we're going to wrap up. I can't believe we've already been chatting for almost half an hour. It's been so fun. What is your favorite thing about living or working in Buffalo?
Ooh, aside from the obvious food, Buffalo is just known for great food. I myself I'm not from Western New York. I've been here for 11 years, but I can say it's really the people, and
Mhm.
it truly is a city of good neighbors. And I've seen it myself. I've seen the growth that Buffalo has have shown over time, the number of jobs that they've created for the community, and it's easy to want to stay in an area where people support you.
Mhm.
Um, and So I think when you have the right community supporting you, it's easy to kind of stay put and enjoy where you're at.
Yeah. No, I love that. It's always a good one to throw in there as we're winding down. I love the food too. We can always talk about that more offline for sure. Need some more recommendations from you probably. And we always like to wrap our shows with our shows about being a lighthouse. That's like, our hashtag. You can always find us that way online on LinkedIn and things like that. So we love to wrap the show with having our guests give a shout out to someone that is a lighthouse for you and just briefly mention why.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'm actually going to say my mother-in-law, Cindy Miller. And not she did not prompt me to say this. I'll just say that right off the bat. But aside from her being a current member of the Legends Tour of the LPGA and a golf coach, she's actually a certified behavioral and emotional intelligence analyst and a keynote speaker. And
Mm.
I've been fortunate enough to have been her guinea pig for like the last 10 years when all these assessments are coming through. So she really had introduced the world of disc and motivators to me. And I think once I did my own personality assessment, it sparked something inside me to kind of take it a little bit more seriously, and how can I dive into understanding the different personalities that are out there and utilizing those skill sets to advance my career, how to negotiate, build relationships in an entirely new light. So I think she's really been the catalyst to my career trajectory. So love her because she's my mother-in-law, but she's also a really fantastic mentor. So shout out to Cindy.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. It's so interesting how we're truly shaped, obviously, by our close circles and friends and family and the amazing influence like their work and careers can
Yeah,
ultimately have on our careers and things too. So I love that you've learned a lot from her, and then you're in that role now again of helping back, those future generations coming through the workforce. So that's super cool. Okay, well, that's what we had planned for today. So thank you so much for joining us.
thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to connecting with you somewhere in the tower.
Yes, I will see you around soon. Thank you.
Claire.
So thank you everyone again for joining us today. If you have any questions at all, want to talk further on talent development in your organization, definitely reach out to me or reach out to Sarah at M&T. We would love to hear from you and answer any questions that you have. And of course, we'll be back with another Live with Lighthouse episode next week, Friday. So keep an eye out on our LinkedIn page to learn more about next week's topic. But thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.